Yeah. No, I'll be happy to talk about that. So, yeah, going back to the video games as like a drug. So why I even say that is because something like cocaine, when it hits your brain, it's like the faster the drug can get to your brain, the more you feel it. And that's kind of the difference with certain behaviors rather than others. If you like if you paint something, it can be this or if you play an instrument, it can be this wonderful thing where you fully flesh out a canvas or fully flesh out a song, and you could be feeling good that entire time. Or you can practice for a very long time and get that reward where you can finally play the song in a correct way. But with a video game, um, it's just kind of that it's kind of that cheap, quick rush that ends up taking over your brain where other harder things in life that are more rewarding, that, will make you a better person in the long run, those become not desirable. It's more of a comparative thing, if I'm being honest with you. It's because you have that quick drug. So, I guess one quick, not to go too off the rails, but very quickly, one quick study was with rats and cocaine. So they had this, if rats are alone, they'll choose the cocaine because they're lonely and they're not having a good life. The rats love to be social too. So if they are alone, they'll take the cocaine. But if they can choose to interact with other people and they have this little rat amusement park where they can hang out with their friends, they'll choose that every time. So it's the fact that you can compare between the two and it's in what your current environment is. So what my current environment was at that time, I was alone. I was in my father's basement. Like I said, I was like 300 pounds. I think maybe my stream videos, I think they're still on the internet, where you could see it. And, I was honestly just incredibly depressed in my life. It was definitely the lowest point in my life, where I got to a point I was about 21, and I got to a breaking point personally where I couldn't do it. I was like, "This is," not to sound, not to sound too much here, but, or not to bring up too much here, but, it was like a life or death thing for me, if I'm being honest. It was, I'm either going to I guess I'm extreme. I'm either going to change everything and have whatever I want in this life, or I'm going to die now. And I had people in my life that loved me, so I couldn't do it. And, and I chose, this is it. Like, this is everything. I'm going to change everything here. I mean, I wasn't so gung ho about it. Like, oh, I'm just going to change everything. Everything's going to work out. No, it was so hard. It was so hard every day. I didn't know if it was going to work out. So I didn't know. All I knew is that I had to change my behaviors. And that's where I started working on. I started doing things differently. And eventually over the years, I saw a great change where I don't even know how I ended up where I'm at now, where I was doing like brain surgery with rodents or different things like that. Knowing what I know now about the brain, um it's been such like sometimes it's unbelievable. Like I cried when I got into this university because I didn't this none of this was planned. And what I would say, I guess to parents specifically, I think I was a very, very stubborn kid, but as people know, like kids with a lot of will and a lot of stubbornness, it can be good because once they turn that into something that they want and something that's better for themselves in the world, they can be so strong and they can do so much good in the world, really. So trying to guide your child in that direction, I think is probably the best thing you can do. And I know during that time, my mother and father separated. It was just pretty hard. So it was hard for me to kind of get that guidance during that time in my life. But I still have a very good relationship with everyone in my family now, even more close than ever. Partly because of, how I've changed and how I've learned to understand time and caring for others that I love. But I think like when I spoke with my dad about, how difficult it was maybe for me in my teen years, like I'm sorry, dad, like how did you deal with that, Um, what were you thinking? Like, how do how could you, get me out of that? And he would ground me. He would shut off the internet. It really wouldn't matter. I was so dead set on this. I was so dead set on it. And yeah, I mean, as I said before, I dropped out of college and, you know, I had a conversation like that. I think my sisters helped me at that time. I have two sisters and one of them, Michelle. she was like, "Okay, if you love this stuff and, you gotta try it." And, I was, like, crying with my dad, and I was telling him, like, "This is what I'm passionate about, this is what I need to do." And my dad just showed me a lot of love in that moment where his son just dropped out of college and he wants to play video games for a living. He just showed me a lot of love in that moment, and he just had faith in me, and he's like, "This is what you need to do, this is what you need to do." And, I did that for a while, and then my other sister, Nicole so I guess this is a whole family venture, but my other sister, Nicole, um, she's kind of more hard-nosed in a way, and she said, "Well, if you're not the professional by 24 or whatever, you need to do something with your life." And I was 23, so I stopped a little early, but I knew it wasn't gonna happen, or at least I found something better to do in my life. So what I really recommend, just in general, because I think it's so incredibly hard. That's why I'm trying to make treatments for this. It's so hard to take someone who is either addicted or someone who's super, super either bipolar, depressed, or in a very, very tough situation in their life right now, to drag them out of that into a better life, into a truly, truly better life that's where they're happier and they make everyone else happier around them. It's so incredibly difficult where you need this strong, strong willpower, where I think virtual treatments can help you practice those behaviors in a video game setting. Not, I mean, not it doesn't have to be just people who play video games, but just being able to practice those behaviors that help you, those little soft skills that help you take care of yourself, being able to practice them in a fun way to kind of bridge that gap to where you're then feeling better, which it becomes easier. It becomes easier later when you start to become healthier. But when you're first, kind of down in the depths, where that reward part of your brain is just completely taking over everything, and you feel terrible just to like get up and do anything with your day, having a sort of treatment that kind of works as a bridge to kind of get
Mhm.
you into a better life. I think that's absolutely incredible. And I guess as parents with their children, I think in the first place, try to limit, try to limit to where the addiction stuff doesn't even happen, and try to have strong values, like family values and a lot of love. I think a lot of love is probably the most important thing, definitely. And then just keep engaging with your kids, keep them in the real world. It's so important to keep that. And I would say one of the best ways to do that is I started to learn, I started, I guess, to have like more, I mean, I wasn't like super unconfident or anything, but I started to believe in myself more, where I can really do some really awesome stuff in this world. I
Mm.
can really do that. Like, I think I'm fortunate enough that I was born, to have some good strengths. And if I figure that out and use those strengths to the best of my ability, I can do so many amazing things in this world. I can have whatever it is that I want. And I truly started, to believe that and feel better and then make those changes in my life. So I think if a parent talking with their child who's kind of dealing with that sort of issue, if you can just love them and believe in them and tell them that, yeah, you can, you can do these other things in your life that can help yourself and a lot of other people. You can inspire them in that way. I think they can find something more important than playing the game,
Mhm.
and they wouldn't want to anymore because that I didn't want to anymore. You know,
Mhm.
why would I started feeling terrible while playing games because it would drag me away from more meaningful things in my life that I knew was just better, like overall.
It's not,
Yeah.
deeply or durably satisfying, and that I would imagine that kinda compounds over time. You start feeling this
Yeah.
lack,
Yeah.
something sort of not right. There are a few things that are kinda interesting about what you just said. One was, one of the things that caused you to go so deep into the virtual world and develop this sort of unhealthy relationship was also, that strong sense of willpower and determination and everything, the
Hmm.
stubbornness, was kind of what
Yeah.
allowed you to come out of it and is sort of a superpower, right? So, that's I think that's
Yeah.
a really kind of interesting point.
Yeah. I think it's a curse, but also it's the best thing I got. So
Right.
I think in the first quarter of my life, um, 'cause I don't yeah, it's not like all fun and games and stuff. I think I really, really even at the time, I was pretty aware of it. I'm like, "This is a curse. This is a curse that I have right now."
Hmm.
Where my mind couldn't stop thinking about stuff. I just it was definitely just such a bad place to be where I thought it was
Hmm.
a curse, but there is so much power behind that. So, the last, the latter, 3 quarters of my life, I'm sure, it'll make up for that. If I